let's talk about now. We talk a lot about what you were thinking before joining the program, what challenges you had and stuff like that. So where are we now?
Yeah, so mentally, really excited to be stepping into a new role that's going to involve a big change for my family, relocating to a new city, but still being able to find a role that I'm excited about, a new challenge, working with a team that I think in this role, some of the things that they're going through are going to leverage some of the skills and experience that I've had in the past.
What were some of the challenges that you were facing before you discovered this program?
I think a lot of my focus before I joined the program was on applying to roles that I would see, right? It seemed obvious that, well, if somebody has a role available, they're hiring, right? Everybody who is hiring is posting a role, but getting into the program and understanding that maybe that's not always the case, certainly learning more about what those companies and those hiring managers are going through. Having been a hiring manager, I knew that they were having hundreds, thousands of applicants to some of those positions, but also getting another taste of understanding what they were dealing with kind of on the other side of those applications was certainly helpful to be able to put myself in their shoes, be able to empathize just like a designer would for your customer, the person you're designing for. Instead of being able to approach my application process and building relationships in a different way that really put that customer, so to speak, at the center and be able to think about what their needs were and what they were trying to get out of the hiring process. And a lot of that confidence had been lost in being part of a layoff and going through that layoff experience of somebody telling that you don't have the skills necessary to carry the business forward or something like that can be a real kind of kick to one's confidence. And it certainly was for me. And so being able to take a more objective look and understand it's not personal, that feedback that you get as part of a layoff, it's something that they say, but they can't really back up.
There's a financial investment to it. How did you make the decision?
I'm somebody who has studied various aspects of economics and behavioral economics and things like that in the past. So being able to put a little bit of the lens of like sunk costs or something into that process, but ultimately just coming back to, well, if I look at this investment and if it helps me achieve that goal of a new position and a new salary or a higher salary through the negotiation help, I will recoup this cost several fold by being able to find a job that much sooner, or perhaps the negotiation getting me an extra $10,000 in yearly salary or something like that, right? So it's an investment that in a way can pay for itself very quickly. But being able to get an outside perspective is going to be helpful kind of no matter where you are.
What made you ultimately choose the program?
I just know myself to do better with some accountability in addition to receiving advice and things like that. The first, that accountability of just having somebody else kind of asking on a regular basis, like, okay, how's the job search going? What are you doing this week? Seeing what other people within the program and hearing about their experiences and being able to say, oh, okay, remember, that's what I need to be doing with my time today, is kind of keeping pace, so to speak, with the sort of expectations and things like that. But I do think that the other piece was being able to just hear fresh perspectives on the job market, the job search process, other ways to approach things. I felt like I'd been at it for a while, and so I needed that new perspective. If you've been trying something and you just keep doing the same thing over and over, that may not get you any farther than you've already gotten. Even given my background in journalism and storytelling and things like that, the way that the program and the guidance says to apply that to your resume, to how you put together interview answers to interview questions and things like that, that still was a bit surprising, because I think you can find lots of resources online or people posting on LinkedIn. They talk about this is the way to structure your resume, but this incorporation of really building stories into your resume was something that, even with my background, I hadn't really considered in the past.
I'm curious to hear, how would you describe my type of coaching?
The thing that you really bring to the table is that you're not going to hold back in terms of sharing an honest opinion. And sometimes, again, to deal with things like doubting yourself or when you're unsure about how to proceed with something, just having somebody who isn't going to just sugarcoat or kind of avoid a tough conversation is what you really need in terms of help. I just have really appreciated whether it's feedback that you've given me or feedback that I've seen you share with others in the program. that just really brutally honest take at times is what was, I think, helped me or somebody else get over that hump.
What would you say was the biggest learning you have within the short time that you've been with the program?
Maybe just confidence in my own experience based on some of those conversations and understanding like other people's journey and how they've gone through their job search, but also their careers, being able to go, oh, okay, even if we didn't get to those specifics, could still put some of my experience in sort of the context of some others.
Right? Or even not just back, but like up at a level, even up at a notch. I do want to point out that I didn't have to tell you that, right? I was just the prompter, basically challenged you to look at things from a different way. And you are the one who then did the exercise, did the home exercise, and then came up with that conclusion really clean, right? That was really good work.
I definitely agree with that. It's the type of advice or feedback that I would have given somebody else, but sometimes we just need somebody to remind us to kind of take the medicine that we would offer, just the advice that we would offer somebody else, have somebody kind of share it back with us so that we remember it for ourselves.
What advice would you give someone who is on the fence of whether they should get help? Someone who is considering joining this program and working with me.
Just get started sooner with seeking advice and feedback from others, because it's really easy for a lot of us, I think, to stay in our own heads and think maybe we know the answers or be questioning our approach to this or that, whether it's finding a job or something else. We could all benefit from having a counselor, having a therapist, right? Even if you don't have serious problems, right? Just having somebody to bounce ideas off of. I think the same can apply in the job search, and being able to find somebody who can just give you an objective look at whether it's just the assets that you're bringing to the table, like your resume or your portfolio, or how you're presenting yourself on LinkedIn, or how you show up in interviews and the way that you carry yourself professionally. All those things are fodder for just an objective look from somebody else.
Are you glad to be out of the job search game? No.
Oh, for sure. It was a long journey, but being able to sort of look at this period, what I've learned from it, but be able to look forward is a nice relief.